Good morning. The Immortal Podcast will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2. What is up, my friends? My name is Echo, and I am here. We are here. We being myself, Nemo from the Scrappy Academy YouTube channel, and Wyatt Cheng, Diablo Immortal's game director, are here today with episode 25 of the Immortal Podcast. Excited. Diablo Immortal is only 4 or 5 days away. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. And what better time than to bring Wyatt on to talk about everything going on. Wyatt, thanks so much for being our guest here on the channel. How you doing this early morning over there in the West Coast?
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. It's it's pretty early, but I got myself some coffee and I'm ready to go.
I love it. And Nemo, how about you? We're on the East Coast. It's a little bit later for us. Are you excited? I mean, we're on 25 episodes, man. We're going weekly as of now. This is exciting stuff.
Yeah, the time is finally here. I'm super pumped, super excited. Let's finally having Wyatt on the show. We have the game coming out very soon. This is like all unreal. This is gonna be the most exciting week of my life. I cannot wait. I'm not sure if I'll be able to sleep, eat. I'm ready.
All right, well, why don't we start off the show with this? And I want to remind everyone what the Immortal Podcast is all about. This is a podcast where we come at you guys with a bunch of questions that we have prepared, but then we take it to the chats and we bring in your questions. That's what makes us different from the rest. We want to know what you guys want to talk about. So we'll get to that a little bit later on the show. But why don't we start with you, Wyatt? How are you preparing for Diablo Immortal? I mean, you've had some time to prepare. What are you doing right now with the game that's, about to come out in just a few days?
Well, we keeping an eye on all of the last minute changes, making sure that the servers are ready. There's a bunch of last minute fixes that we can get. Coming to chat with people like yourselves, and just in my personal life, I think I need to clean up the house and mow the lawn and do all the stuff so that once launch day comes, I don't have to do any of those things for a couple days. Kind of pause real life for a little bit.
I love that. It's a great idea. And how about you, Nemo? What are you doing? What's your plan, man?
Well, so I took some days off from vacation. I took some vacation days from work so I can concentrate 100% on Immortal. I stocked up on food, so I have everything that I need ready, all my favorite snacks and etc. I have my phone ready, I have my tablet ready, I have my computer ready, all the updates are ready to go. I have my comfy chair. I'm ready. Let's go.
You got your phone, your tablets, and did you ever think that you'd be saying that you'd have your phone, tablet, and PC ready? I know it's not new news anymore, but it's still great news. I know so many people are excited about it. I mean, I never thought that we'd be saying that, so I think it's exciting.
And it's already preloaded too. It's ready to go on my Blizzard launcher.
So 25 gigs. 25 gigs ready.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, all right. Set up. I've got mine preloaded as well. It's going to be awesome.
I saw that. I saw your tweet showing that you were ready to go. A bunch of you guys over there, which was awesome. And for me, I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to be able to get the day off on Thursday. Because I know I'm going to take some time, but I want to take the whole day. I want to start as soon as I can. And just dive right into it when we can. But Nemo, I'm going to hand you this one first because everyone knows that I'm starting with the Barbarian. How about you, Nemo? What class are you starting with? And then Wyatt, we're heading on over to you.
This is one of the toughest questions that I have. I still to this day can't fully decide. I was between the Barbarian, the Wizard, and the Necromancer. After lots of consideration, thinking, walking around, just pondering life, I was able to sort of say that I'm not going to be starting with the Necro. So I got it down to a Barbarian and a Wizard. But still to this day, I'm not sure. I can't decide. I think I'm going to probably do some class swapping. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I'll probably be staring at the game when it first launches, and I'm going to have to make that decision then. It's either Barbarian or Wizard, and I swear to God, I still do not know.
I know, and you've always been the guy, you said Wizard for life, so I mean, I'm kind of holding you to it, Nemo, but we'll see if you stay true. How about you, Wyatt? What's your plan? What is your class of choice?
Well, my plan on launch day, I think I'm going to play a Monk. And that's not any particular favoritism. During the tech alpha, I played a Barbarian. After that, I played a Crusader in the alpha, and then during closed beta, I played a Necromancer because the Necromancer was new for that playtest. And so I kind of go through them. I play a lot of Wizard and Demon Hunter internally, so I think I gotta show some love for the Monk this time around.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong. The monk was one of my favorite classes as well. I really just love his movement and how he just gets himself around in the world. I gotta go barbarian though, just because I've always been true to the barbarian. But my second choice would probably be monk, maybe necro, maybe crusader.
You
I don't
stay
know.
true to your roots.
I do have to stay
You've
true.
always had a love for the barb.
But the cool thing about this is the new class change system. You guys announced this and you mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. Can you give us any more details about this? I know that you don't want it to be to the point where there's so much class changing that, you know, you have an event happening this day, you want to be this class. So you have an event happening that day, you want to be that class. So there's got to be some type of cooldown periods. How does this system look for you guys? And what made you kind of make the decision that this is something that should be in the game at all?
Oh yeah, dude, those are great questions. Well, right up front, we were hoping to get the class change system in pretty quickly, but it didn't make launch, so we wanted to make sure everyone knew about it. Mostly because I don't want people to stress too much. Like, kind of we're having this conversation now, like what class are you going to start with? And I like all 6 of the classes, but you got to start with somebody.
Right.
But once you start to progress your character, we knew that because Diablo Immortal has so many progression systems, it wasn't going to be the kind of game where it would be easy to maintain a stable of alts. Where some games you have like 3, 4, 5, 6 characters that you kind of play each of them every day. There's Diablo Immortal is not really built that way, and so we thought the class change system would be a good way to let someone say, hey, like for myself, I might say, hey, I've been playing the monk for a while. It's time to be somebody else, and then I can just hit that class change button and play somebody else for a while. Now, we are thinking about a cooldown. That cooldown right now is going to be somewhere between 1 week and a month. Still trying to nail down exactly how long that's going to be. But we want people to be able to switch classes without having to stress too much about it.
I love the idea of that. I think it's great. I mean, again, you talked about alts, and I thought about it many times. As I learned the depth of Diablo Immortal, I was thinking, how am I going to play all the classes that I want to keep them all leveled high enough for me to make content and stuff like that? So I really like the idea of it. I think it's a great addition to the game. Now, I'm gonna go off track a little bit here and go to a question that just came in from MFPF, another one of our content creators and friends over at the Scrappy Echoes. He says, question, can we change the name of our character inside of the game? I know this is something I really never talked about and never brought up before. Is that something that's going to be doable, or thought of it being doable? What are your thoughts on that, Wyatt?
You know what? To be honest, I don't remember where that feature landed. There's a couple like convenience features that people ask for. I know that name change, we were looking at it, and I think we might be allowing it, but don't quote me on that. Another feature we get often is, can I change my appearance later? You can't right now, but it's a feature that we're considering in the future. And then another one that's common is server transfer. You sort of have like, can I change how I look, change my name, can I change my server? And so I don't know the answer for sure off the top of my head for name, but server and appearance will not be there on launch, but it is something that we would love to do in the future. Just haven't had time to implement something like that just yet.
Yeah, and that's something that Nemo and I have both been talking about in our channels, and that is, you guys are actively looking to update, upgrade, add things to the game over time. It doesn't have to launch day one with every single feature that's forever going to be involved. I mean, I play Clash of Clans on my main channel. That's 6 years. I've been playing for 7. And when you start playing Clash of Clans, there was no war feature inside of the game. They've added so much over the years, and that's been fine. It's actually kept the game fresh, kept everything new and exciting. But I want to talk about you specifically, Wyatt, and how it was for you being part of this entire process. I know that years ago when I started this channel, you guys invited me out to BlizzCon, and I got to spend a lot of time with you, which was great. You were very welcoming. I knew literally nobody there. It wasn't the world that I was from. And you'd hit me up and you'd say, hey, we're over here, come hang out. And we're over here, come hang out. And it was great because I would have, without that, I would have been all by myself. So that was awesome. Thank you. But what's it been like for you being back behind the scenes, developing this game? It's been in the process for 3, 4, I don't even know how many years. How's that been for you? And what does that look like, maybe beyond what we all see on the front page?
Probably the most important thing I'd love to highlight is that the game's made by a huge team. And, I have sort of the honor of representing the team in, public conversation, like opportunities like this to chat with you and Nemo. But I'm just sort of like a figurehead. There's a ton of work that goes into it. We have a whole bunch of artists who just make all the amazing visuals that you're seeing. We have a whole team of designers who are working on the systems. There's an army of engineers making sure that the game functions, and there's so many moving parts. And I'm not even getting into all the BattleNet infrastructure to make sure that you're able to connect with your friends, the producers who do endless amounts of work coordinating and localization, or working with Apple and Google to make sure that the game can be on the store at the right time. Like, there's so many parts that go into the game. I'm going to get myself in trouble because once I started naming departments, more departments started popping in my head. We'll be here all day. It's a huge all company effort. I'm very privileged to sort of like be in this position to be able to help guide it and to talk about it, but really know that there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people who are share in this moment to launch this game for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, that's a great answer, and you're right. Someone is going to come to you later on today. They're going to watch this back and say, "You didn't talk about me, Wyatt. You forgot about me." I mean, even the guy that's emptying the garbage cans, but Wyatt, I empty your trash every day. You didn't mention me on the show. Those guys too.
There's the publishing department, there's the QA department, there's the IT department that makes our computers work, and especially during COVID and work from home, having that IT department transition us from office to working from home without missing a beat so that we could all continue working. That was huge.
Yeah, for sure. Especially during all the struggles, right? Who knew you were going to have to go through a pandemic while creating this game? That must have been crazy as well. But Nemo, I know you have another question that you wanted to hit up on. Why don't we send that Wyatt's way?
That sounds good. Yeah, tons of questions. I'm super excited. So Wyatt, my first one is, what's something that you would include in a director's cut of Diablo Immortal?
Oh, in a director's cut. I think probably some commentary on the sort of the transitions to like the evolution of the level up experience would be really interesting. Like, there's these moments when you hit level 28, level 35, level 40, where you can't advance the storyline until you're a high enough level. And people ask all the time, like, why can't I just move on? And part of it is that there's supposed to be a lot of parts to this game. And we know that if we don't block the storyline a bit, the normal behavior is to just keep playing. But if you're not high enough level or strong enough to continue, then the content will be too hard. And so we're like, hey, there's these other systems in the game. Let's help you out. Why don't you check out the activities that are being suggested in the battle pass? And every time you complete a battle pass level, you get a whole bunch of XP, which is going to help you level up. But that also teaches you about doing dungeons and bounties and elder rifts, and we want people to learn and engage and enjoy all these other activities in the game. And so by breaking up the main quest storyline and sort of saying, hey, go ahead and get to level 40 before you continue, it's a little frustrating at the time for some people, but ultimately the goal is to say, hey, there's a lot more game out there. Go ahead and check that out.
Does that satisfy your right there, Nemo?
I'm looking forward to the director's cut. I'll be waiting for that one.
Everyone loves a good director's cut. Hey, I want to jump to the chat really quickly because we got a question. It kind of backs off of the last discussion point. It's from VDub Vinny G, who also is a member of the channel. Thank you so much for supporting. And he says, Scrappy Academy, for Wyatt, what's the biggest challenge you've had to overcome to make this game a reality? I feel like there's been roadblocks along the way. It's something different for Blizzard. So what's something that maybe stands out as, something you had to, as a team, get through?
Well, I mentioned COVID earlier, so I won't mention that one again. In a lot of ways, that actually turned out to be an opportunity. Some people say that they actually feel more productive when they're, working from home. So, it varies by person. I think getting the game with crossplay across, iOS, Android, and PC That was really huge. PC came in pretty late. That's why, initially when we launched, it's open beta because it hasn't gotten any public testing yet. And that kind of reflects that it came in kind of late. We have tested it though, and it works and it's great. But we know that there might still be some bugs and issues. But that was definitely a huge heroic. Lots of heroics were pulled by a lot of the team, especially the producers and the engineers, to make that happen. But yeah, that was probably one of the bigger recent challenges.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. I mean, I know, so I was in the technical alpha, the closed beta, as was Nemo, and both he and I, we're best buddies here. We talk about all this stuff. Every single time you came out with a new version, we were just always amazed on how much change and how much more was added to the game. Like when technical alpha came out, I'm like, this game is done. Like we're ready. This is ready to go. It's already better than every game out. And then you guys came out with a massive update during the closed alpha, and it just continuously happened. So I can't wait for a few days from now. Speaking of a few days from now, something that I wanted to ask you, I saw Pez Radar put something out about some people possibly being able to get their hands on this game even earlier than June 2nd. What's going on here? What's happening?
Hey, yeah, thanks for asking me about that.
You're welcome.
So the official launch day and the time where we're really shooting to have the game fully launched is June 2nd at 10 a.m. Pacific. So that hasn't changed. But because we are on multiple platforms, iOS, Android, and PC, we have to coordinate the launch between those different platforms. And it's really common for iOS and Android that we deploy the app to the store. In my head, there's a big red button that you push. I'm sure there isn't actually a big red button, but I like to pretend in my head that there is. Somebody hits that big red button and boom, game launched. And then it takes time for that game to propagate. And because we want to make sure, absolutely sure, that the game is there on the store by 10 a.m. Pacific on June 2nd, we have to push the button the day before. Because we're pushing the button the day before, some people could start to see it before others. Now that's not a guarantee. It could take longer for some people to see it. It's something that's beyond our control. But because some people might get the game, we are going to make sure the servers are on and available. So if you are able to get the game in advance and you launch the game, the servers will be up and you will be able to start playing right away. Can I add something else? Do we have time about the PC and account linking? Yeah.
Please
so
do.
One thing we've been telling people a lot is make sure your Battle.net account is connected when you play. And so I want to talk about what that process is going to look like. When you launch into mobile for the first time, we'll create an account for you. We call it a guest account. So you can start playing right away. So as soon as you get the app, and you don't have to stress too much about playing on PC, as getting your Battle.net account linked so you can play on PC as well later. You're fine just being able to play. In the settings menu at any time later on, you go into settings, you go into the account tab, and then there's an option there in game to link your Battle.net account. And then once you've done that, when you launch the game on PC, your characters will be there. I think we've been messaging really strongly, hey, make sure you connect your Battle.net account, but I don't want people to feel like they're in a rush. You can start playing and connect your Battle.net account anytime later, just before you actually go on PC.
That is great information, because you're right. You're going to have people start playing, kind of freak out internally saying, I need to connect this up because I don't want to lose any progress. So it's nice to know that we have a little bit of leeway time to be able to do that, which is awesome. And that's exciting. I mean, we could potentially be playing a day earlier, which is great. Now, something that Nemo and I talk about on our YouTube channels all the time, by the way, you could find Nemo on the Scrappy Academy YouTube channel. You could find me on the Echo Gaming Diablo YouTube channel. And you can find Wyatt everywhere on the interwebs. He's everywhere. Warbands. I know that Blizzard is big into warbands, and people get confused with the terms dark house, warbands, clans, all this kind of being thrown out. especially people who haven't played the game yet. They're getting all their information from myself, Nemo, other YouTubers and streamers, but it's hard to really grasp it all until you play. So can you give us a little look inside as to why Blizzard is big into warbands, why they're doubling down on them and really going strong into these warbands, and really what they are?
Yeah, Echo, good question. So some of this comes from like social psychology principles where socially, humans are social, and we have social circles of different sizes. And one social circle tends to be like what you could imagine as like your close friends or your family, and that's typically in the range of 4 to 8 people that you kind of really consider, hey, these are the people that I see regularly, these are the people that I lean on to do things together. This is my it's like your close community. And so we wanted war bands to reflect that. These are the people where you recognize their name, their personality, kind of a lot about them. And then also we often have a larger social circle. So people, your whole set of coworkers, or if you're in school, this would be like a whole network of classmates. And these are people that you might know their name and their faces, and but you don't know them like intimately, right? But it's still nice to kind of be in those social circles and to feel like you're part of a greater community. And so that's what clans are. Clans are up to 100 people. And so you that sense that, oh, I see this familiar name, or sometimes I meet a friend of a friend through that. And so that's the clan, is sort of the wider social community. And your warband is really, that's who you like play with every day. So these are the people that we think you'll do your dungeons with, or if you're meeting up and you say, hey, we want to do an 8-player Heliquary raid, your warband is a great group to hit up for that. Whereas your clan is like, hey, like, I don't know each of you personally, but let's all work towards a goal that's greater than ourselves, right? And that's why we use clans in the cycle of strife. So you start off as a dark clan. If your clan leader chooses, you can convert over to a dark clan to join the shadows, and then ultimately your dark clan can challenge the immortals and become an immortal clan. And that's all based on those 100-person clans.
Excellent. Nemo, I know you have a question that is regarding clans as well.
Yeah, so this is actually great. We can lead into the clan discussion. I wanted to see if we could talk a little bit about the clans, because I know that you guys have changed the way clans work, right? Before, clans were just sort of like a thing where you jump in, and then you would do the Dark House, which was sort of like a separate clan. So I love the idea how now clans have functions in them, right? So you take the clan and you turn it dark. So you go against and you do the cycle of strife, you go compete, you become the immortals and all of that stuff. Now, there is some logistics, right, between that. Like, how would that work? So there's 300 total immortals now. So when you turn, maybe you can give us a little bit about that. So when you take your clan and you turn it dark, you go through, we'll talk about the Shadow War and all that, but the high level of it is 300 immortals and an alliance of 3 clans. Is that how it's going to work, Wyatt?
Yeah. So before, in closed beta, if you wanted to become a shadow, you would participate at the tavern. They had a shadow lottery where these marks would be given out that would let you convert into, I can't remember what they were called, but it was an item that signet or something. Anyway, it would let you convert to being a shadow. So the way it works now, Akiba signet, the way it works now is when your clan has collected enough of these signets such that, like, let's say you're a 75-person clan. When you have 75 signets collectively as a clan, the clan leader can push a button, and then those signets are consumed and everyone gets converted over to be a shadow. If your clan happens to win the challenge of the immortal and they get to become the new immortal, the immortal clan is 100 people, but we want the total organization of the immortals to be 300 people. And so you have the opportunity to invite 2 other clans of your choice to be immortal allied clans alongside you. And so that becomes the 1 immortal clan and 2 allied clans for a total of 300 people who can be immortals at any one time.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I love the whole idea of how, because before you were basically able to just kind of invite, right, shadows into, or whoever into the immortality. This whole idea of having three clans is great. And one question for you: originally there was 500 immortals. Now we've cut down to 300, which is even harder for them. Is there a reason for that? Is there a reason you guys didn't do like a 5 clan alliance versus three? Do you want it to be really exclusive?
That was just more looking at the number of people who could take part in all the activities. So every faction has their own activities, right? Or I should say, the Shadows and the Immortals in particular have their own activities. The Shadows have things like they can raid the vault, and they have a Shadow Assembly, and they do contracts. Whereas the Immortals have things like the Immortal Goals, and they defend the vault, and they have the Right of Exile. And the Right of Exile in particular, we were like, well, how many times do you do a Rite of Exile? When you have like a Rite of Exile that takes 48 players, right? That's a 48 player raid. If you have a 500 person Immortal group, then it's like less than 10% of people get to take part in something like that. And so we reduced the number of Immortals to 300 so that a greater percentage of them could participate in those types of activities more often. Now, you might ask, well, why didn't you just reduce it all the way down to 50? Well, there's other activities, right? Like defending the crown, where you need to be able to field multiple teams, or some people want to be part of the Immortals, but they don't want to engage in all the explicit PvP stuff. So there could be, other reasons to want to be an Immortal and kind of hang out socially with everyone else. And so the main reason to lower from 500 to 300 is so that, more people participate, but not necessarily everybody.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, and now you also added a whole bunch of activity. Well, at least one of the activities that I would love to talk about is the Shadow War, right? Another pain point that people have had in the beta is, well, how does this whole thing work with the 10 dark clans, right? It was automatically like whoever became the biggest clan was the first one, and etc. Always kind of got the top spot, which wasn't unfair. Which was unfair. Now this whole system, the Shadow of War, maybe you can talk about it a little more, but I love the idea of having a bracket system where you as a dark clan now have to prove yourself, have to defend and become one of the top 10 to go into the Rite of Exile. This is really exciting, but there's a whole bunch of stuff, right? There's a Shadow War, there's battles that are happening on Thursday and Saturday, I believe, with a sign up on Monday. Is there anything else you could tell us about the Shadow War and that activity?
Wow, Nemo, you are well informed. I'm impressed. Yes, so that is actually a new system that wasn't part of the closed beta. That's going to be coming in the worldwide launch. And I guess sort of the really short summary, because I know that some of your viewers will know a lot of the details, but some of them might just want the 10,000-foot view. Is in at the once a week, the immortal the okay, sorry, let me start over. Once a week, 10 shadow clans are going to challenge the immortal. And the question is, well, which 10 get that honor? In closed beta, it was just ranked by points. Like, what was the ranking of that dark clan? Okay, great. We'll do a cutoff, top 10. You guys get to go. You can challenge the immortal. And we thought, maybe we can make it more interesting than that. What if we actually let the top 32 dark clans all have a shot at competition? And this kind of came like, if you were during beta, if you were like the 14th or 15th dark clan, like not being able to participate or not having a shot at challenging the immortal at all could be a bit, demoralizing. And so by having 32 clans all be eligible, they can participate in this war. And then the top 10 clans from the war get to actually challenge the immortal. And so it's not always just going to be those top 10 in points. You could have like an upset victory where the 16th best dark clan, is victorious, and they actually end up being able to participate in the challenge at the end of the week.
That is such a great ad. I love that. It's so awesome. And the whole bracket system and how that's going to work. I'm so excited. I really can't wait for that. Now, I wanted to jump into, since we're talking about the activities, I'll start with this. My favorite Cycle of Strife activity is Raid the Vault, right? I love doing the whole Raid the Vault, both on the Immortal side and the Shadow side, although I'm a bit more, I love the Shadows a little more. So I love raiding the Vault as a Shadow. But could you, and then maybe Echo as well, could you guys tell us what your favorite Cycle of Strife activity is? If you had to pick one, what would it be? We'll start with Wyatt.
No pressure.
My favorite Cycle of Strife activity is probably the 30v1. Like, I don't know if people know about this, but the fact that the Immortal turns into basically a raid boss and 30 shadows get to fight against that one is really cool. In fact, it's so cool that we thought, wow, it's really kind of a bummer that only one person on the server gets to do this once a week. And so that Shadow War that we were just talking about, here's some more detail for you. That Shadow War is actually almost like a trial of that 30v1, where every time the way it works is every time two dark clans are going to fight, they don't fight head on. It's 30 people from one clan fighting the clan leader of the other clan, and then vice versa. And so it's almost like two simultaneous 30v1s between the dark clans, almost like you're practicing and going through the motions of that final Immortal battle, but you're doing it to say, well, who's actually, most worthy of challenging the Immortal by practicing this activity. And so more people will get to enjoy doing that 30v1 experience multiple times a week this way.
I think that's a solid answer. And I have to answer this
excited.
myself. I have to answer this one myself. And I've done mostly Raid the Vault, right? Nemo and I would run through. I love it. It's more, I guess it has the PvP element because the Immortals can come in to defend. But the 30v1 is awesome. You know that I'm huge into PvP. I think that that's a huge part of gaming, specifically on mobile, that makes content just makes the game last for a long time. So anything that's PvP related, I'm going to be a fan of. 30 of my brother and sister shadows trying to defeat the massive Immortal. Really curious to see how hard that's going to be to be victorious in as a shadow. It seems like it's going to be one of my favorite things once I get to do it a lot, specifically now that, as you mentioned, we have the ability to do it on a more regular basis. It doesn't you don't have to actually, make it to the level to do that. You could do the practice version, which is still going to be a lot of fun. But let's move this on to the future, Wyatt. And I know the game hasn't even come out, and I'm bringing up the future. It's just what we do here. As I mentioned, PvP, I love it. I've talked a lot on my channel about PvP, and I know that Diablo Immortal is launching with elements of PvP. We have the Immortal versus the Shadows. There's other elements of the Cycle of Strife where, like we just mentioned, Raid the Vault, where there could be PvP elements. And there's those objective-based modes where you have to move things along. What other PvP are you guys toying around with in your mind? I know that you see value in PvP because you're a gamer as well. You know that it's important, but PvP is not typically the way that Diablo games go. So what are you guys thinking of in the back rooms of Blizzard regarding PvP and Immortal?
Oh man, yes. Okay, so you're kind of hinting, hey, are there other modes coming? There are other modes that we've talked about. I don't want to spoil any of it today. So unfortunately, you're not going to get an answer out of me. Sorry.
That's okay.
Let me flip the question around. Like, what other PvP modes would you want to see? What do you enjoy?
So for me, and I like just straight up battling with another. So I know, Wyatt, that you have played Brawl Stars and that you like playing Brawl Stars. If I'm playing Brawl Stars, and for anyone that knows the game, I'm the guy that wants to play solo showdown or duo showdown. I just want to go out and battle other players. I'm less of an objective-based player. I like, working on my skill in just back-to-back combat. I was big into Call of Duty when I played that. It was team deathmatch or free-for-all. Those were typically the game modes. So I'd like to see something where you can straight up battle someone and see how it works based on skill, which would mean a lot of the grind that you do that Diablo Immortal focuses on to get your gear to a certain point would kind of be washed out, right? And you would get into a lobby where you would be able to choose your loadout, choose your class, and battle in a completely even grind level character. So it's all based on skill, not at all based on gear. Now, I know this brings up a problem because Diablo Immortal is all about the grind, the gear, upgrading your character, making it your own. but I'm thinking of like an additional side piece of the game, a matchmaking system that would be based on skill-based matchmaking rather than the gear that you've grinded and stuff like that. How about you, Nemo? I know you were a big shooter player as well in the past. What kind of things would you like to see come to Immortal regarding PvP?
I mean, this is a little bit of a tough situation, right? Because Diablo in general is not like a shooter game, but there are a lot of games that came out with some really cool modes that I think Diablo Immortal actually started doing, like the whole Rite of Exile. I love the whole PvPE modes where you're doing PvP and you're doing PvE as well. Great. All the rest of the activities kind of have that. It would be great to have that in a more casual format. Like a lot of the players will never get to experience the Rite of Exile, you know? So maybe it would be great to have more modes that are just straight up open for everybody. Like if you ever played Destiny or some of the games like that, they have a game mode called Gambit, which starts off as a PvE, and then it goes into PvP, then it goes back into PvE. So something like that, and more of it is what I'm looking for. The battlegrounds are great. The rest of the modes that are maybe in shooter games are great, but I'm not sure if they'll fully fit into Diablo Immortal's scheme. For me, my favorite would be the activity that's both PvE and PvP, because it like adds more pressure, has a lot more complexity. There's also like team mechanics involved and things like that. I really love that. That's my vote.
Yeah, Echo, I like what you were saying about Brawl Stars. You're right. You're like, hey, Wyatt, I know you like Brawl Stars too. I do like Brawl Stars. I like. I know exactly which mode you're talking about with the brawl, where it's either solo or duo. It's kind of like 10 of you on the field. I think that one works really well. I like gem grab too. For those who don't know, basically there's a gem that spawns out of the middle of the map every like 10 or 15 seconds, and then the first team to grab 10 gems wins, but you have to grab them and hold them. But if you're holding some gems and you die, you drop them all on the ground. It's super exciting. It's like this really cool moment. So I think stuff like that could be really fun. I think those are things that we should look at. I will say, as we talk about it, like we are trying to avoid a straight up 1v1 mode. And the main reason, well, we really like when combat is group focused. We think that's more interesting. And a lot of classes, like in a 1v1, there's not as much like dynamics that go on. And so in the times that we've looked at doing just 1v1 PvP internally, it's a little dry. Like there's just not enough other elements going on to keep that interesting. So I mean something group based, whether it's like twos in a battle royale type situation, and then I think finding some way for your gear to matter a little bit is probably possible. If you think about, again, using Brawl Stars as an example, you have your character but like you said, they do matchmaking. So I think the matchmaking really helps people, find opponents that are kind of appropriate to make sure that you have a fun and good time.
Yeah, skill-based matchmaking has been my favorite across the years, across the games, and it kind of settles you in an area where you're gonna win sometimes and lose sometimes, and you're not gonna always be put against people that are stronger than you or even better players than you. What I like hearing, I mean, what I'm hearing here is influence is being taken from other games, and you're seeing game modes that work in other games, such as Brawl Stars, and you're maybe seeing how they could fit into Diablo Immortal. I mean, I could see gems or gold spawning and two teams trying to fight over that position to try and get that and hold it. Just saying that could work. That's a game mode that could be a lot of fun as well. So I'm happy to hear, and I've known it all along, that you guys are dedicated towards making Diablo Immortal grow over time. This is why Diablo Immortal is free to play, and there's ways that you could spend inside of the game to support growth for the future, because Nemo and myself, we're in this for the long haul. We're going to be playing Diablo Immortal until there is no more Diablo Immortal, or until there's a Diablo Immortal 2, or if Diablo 4 is ever on mobile. I mean, crazier things have happened. But just saying, I'm excited to hear that all that's going on. Now, Nemo, you had a question that you wanted to pose to Wyatt, and then we're going to be going straight to the chat, guys. We have had so much support and questions coming through today. We appreciate that, so thank you all so much. But Nemo has something else he wants to ask really quickly.
Yeah, so in the whole theme of future, two things. One, I wanted to just jump back into the clans. I know that since you guys added this whole dark clan feature, I was wondering if is anything else you could share with us as far as clan activity for the future. Because I know there's like a lot more opportunity for clans to do stuff together, right? Just besides the cycle of strife. So, are you guys high level thinking about that? And is there anything maybe you could share when it comes to clans in their future?
There are more things that we want to do in the future with clans. During the alpha and beta, we used to have clan achievements. I don't know if you remember
Yep.
that, but it would have
Yeah.
achievements like
Mhm.
do a dungeon with 4 monks who are all from the clan. And we pulled those out because like even though they were there, people didn't really feel like they were worth doing. Like there was something kind of missing about them. We also didn't want to have too much complexity in the system when we're going to also make clans the basis for the cycle of strife. So we yanked the clan achievements out, but we definitely want to sort of bring a version of that back. Really love the idea that clans would have goals, and we don't want the only goal to have to be the cycle of strife. There could also be like we were saying, like something PVE oriented for your clan to do together. We've talked about having like quests that would be for your clan. We've talked about having kind of like framing the achievements as seasonal. So maybe it's like, hey, here's a bunch of achievements, but your clan has to do them this month, for example. And then there could be some rewards associated with getting all the achievements on this month, but then next month they would reset, and maybe there'd be the same achievements, or maybe there'd be like a new set of achievements. Um, we've also talked about are there bosses that your clan could do together, kind of like the Heliquary, but maybe we can go past 8, right? So these are all just ideas that we're putting out there. We'll be watching feedback from the community, seeing how clans evolve, seeing, we have this theory that people will have these two social circle sizes, right? The 8-player war bands and the 100% clan. So it's like, well, how much do people actually use each of those two systems? And if people are like wanting more to do with their clan, then we'll add it.
Yeah, that's really epic. And one last thing in theme of the whole updates and everything. So the future, right? I know that you guys are planning monthly cosmetics. I know you were talking about how the Heliquary bosses are going to be monthly. Could you give us a little more like what does that look like? Is there more things that are coming? Are we missing some stuff? Or what is planned for the Diablo Immortal team in the release?
Yeah. Hey, look, and I see there you had a great question, sort of like, hey, are there raids? Yeah.
Mhm.
Ask for achievements. We just covered achievements, potential new raids, world events, like Christmas and so forth. Yes. So we are planning more stuff. After launch, players can expect to have events that come in, and it's like maybe there'll be like a weekend event, or maybe like some activity that lasts for a couple weeks, kind of like the Dawn of Damnation during beta. So I think those things are really fun. So players can expect those things. We're not going to have any events initially, by the way, because we know that when the game first launches, people are looking at the main quest storyline and leveling up to max level, and those events could become distracting. But as more and more players start to reach max level and are engaged with endgame activities, that would be when we start saying, hey, maybe it's time to like spice things up with a couple of other events. And then in terms of content patches, there'll be I mentioned new cosmetics and stuff like that, but we're looking at new content too. There'll be new zones, there'll be new dungeons, there'll be new classes. These are all things that are off in the future. What the main quest storyline doesn't end with worldwide launch either. After the game is out, there'll be patches in the future that will extend the main quest storyline farther out, because we always have more stories to tell.
That's
Yeah,
great
ooh,
to hear
that's
too.
wow. Yeah, that's exciting.
I actually just recorded a video last night with Nineball, doing more lore and more story of Diablo Immortal. That's going to be coming out in a few days. So hearing that even more story could come, that tells me that I can hook up with Nine again and do this over and over again, which is great. He, by the way, the best storyteller inside of the whole Diablo universe. Nineball is incredible.
Nineball's a great guy.
He definitely is one of the people that I met at BlizzCon, and we've stayed in touch since. Nemo, I think we're at the point where we can dive into the chat. We have had so many questions come through. It's nearly impossible for me to grab them all, or it is impossible, but I have been grabbing some along the way. Let's go back and forth here, Nemo. I'm going to grab some to pop them on the screen, like this one, and then you could just verbally point some out as well when we're done with this one. So this one's from Holy Slim Tony, and I'm grabbing them both just so you guys know, from YouTube and from Twitch. About the warbands, how does it work with the warband chest, and why can we only borrow one item with that increase? So, Wyatt, why don't you tell us, because we didn't really talk about the shared items at all, why don't you kind of brief everyone on what that means and how warbands work with it, and why only one item, and what happens if the person that shared with you leaves the warband?
Yeah, okay, so warbands is really getting a big revamp in launch. It wasn't really a big part of the closed beta. And so the warbands in beta were 4 people, but we've extended that to 8. And we've been talking about that a bunch today. And one of the really cool features for the warband is when you go to do a dungeon together. And so this requires you to do a 4-player dungeon where everybody in the dungeon is from the same warband. If you do that, you have a chance to get a bonus chest drop. And that chest is actually, you don't open it right away. You take it back to your warband camp. And at the warband camp, you can have an NPC in the camp open up the chest for you, and it has a chance of holding some loot that will go directly into a warband stash. That's the only way to get items into the warband stash, by the way, is from those chests that are opened. If you get like some cool set items that way, that's a great thing to share, because sometimes you have like 3 pieces of a set and you're looking for a 4th. And if one of your warband members finds a great 4th piece, then you can say, hey, I want to borrow that piece. Now, why do we only allow you to borrow 1? That mostly has to do that we still want your gear to come from like something that you've found yourself. You know, this is something that we talk about a lot. We know from like previous Diablo games like Diablo 3 and also just from our testing that the game is the most fun when items that you're wearing are items that you found yourself by playing the game. Now, why do we, so then there's this like trade-off where if you get an item from a warband member, that's like a little less satisfying, but there's some emotional connection that you have with that warband member. And so we thought that was a fair trade-off, saying, hey, no, you didn't find it yourself, but a warband member did, we'll go ahead and allow that. So we're allowing 1 item. Could it increase in the future? Maybe, based on testing. Awesome question, by the way. What happens when someone leaves the warband? They take that item with them. So you have to stay in the warband together in order to use that borrowed item. If you leave the warband, then you take your items with you.
I like that. That's making sure that people, if you're sharing with people, you guys are kind of like lifers, real friends, people that you really trust and you're going to be playing with for a while.
That's right. That's exactly the intention.
Because something that I've noticed, even from Technical Alpha a long time ago, you guys have always been about community with Diablo Immortal and that experience of playing together. Which actually, I'm gonna hop in front of you, Nemo, real quick. I know you have a question. That just put me right into this question. Do you prefer solo play or to play with friends, and why? I'll take it quickly, and I'll say I like both. There's times I love getting on with friends and, spending a longer play session. And then there's times when I can only hop on for a few minutes. I can go hop in, do some Elder Rifts, do some bounty events solo. How about you, Wyatt?
I'm the same way as you, man. Sometimes I want to play solo. Sometimes I want to play as a group. I think it depends on the time of day, right? Like if I'm, waking up in the morning and I'm just like lying in bed, I'm going to play solo. If someone else is there, great. But normally it's solo. If I find a break in the middle of the day or I'm playing at lunch or something, I'm probably going to play solo there too. But, nice thing about working at Blizzard, I will say, is everyone around you likes to game as well. So who knows? Maybe you walk to the cafeteria and grab some people and run a dungeon together. That's great. But at night, when I've got some gaming time set aside, that's when I'm gonna, connect with my friends. We'll get together and say, "Hey, who wants to play some Diablo Immortal?" We might even have a tradition, right? Maybe I have some friends, and just every night at 9, like that's Immortal time. And I usually save most of my group play for then. And it's kind of like just hanging out with some friends online.
I completely agree. How about you, Nemo? You in the same boat?
Yeah, 100%. I definitely enjoy the social aspect of Immortal. Actually, it's one of the most social Diablo games, or just in general games that I've played, especially at end game. Right, all of the activities can be done by yourself as solo, but well, except for like the Heliquary and stuff. But at the same time, you can also do it with your friends. Adds complexity. This is great. Sometimes I like to play solo, but a lot of the times I like to group up with all of our scrappy echoes and play together. So pretty pumped about that.
Little
There's
plug
a
right
question
there.
coming in.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Love our scrappy echoes. Love our scrappy echoes. Okay. So a question here. A lot of people are actually asking about the logistics of the servers, right? A lot of the questions we're getting in the chat is like, hey, well, I have a friend, I'm going to be playing on a server. What happens? Can the server be full? And if it is full, can I join? Can I not join? How many people can be in the server? What can people expect as far as like them and their friends? Like, do they need to join really quickly at the same time before the server gets full? How is that going to work, Wyatt?
Good question. When you first log in, so let's say it's launch day, right? And you are one of the lucky people to be able to find the game on June 1st even. So when you log in, the servers, any servers that are below 80% capacity are surfaced sort of to the top. And there is a little circle to the marking the circle let me start again. There's a circle marking the server that's either green, which means, hey, it's available, it's online, ready to go, or it's red, which means, it's available, but that server is getting close to full. So as long as you pick a green server, great, then there's lots of room. Now, let's say you and your friend have already picked a server that you want to be on, but when you log in, that server is red. That means that server is close to full, but we still let you make a character. But if there's more people who want to play on a server than the server has room for, then you will see a queue. And so if too many communities start to all converge on the same red server, then they'll experience those queue times. And we would encourage everyone to go and redistribute onto green servers. So we really do try to encourage players to play on a green available population server if they have any flexibility in that at all.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so that'll give people the foresight into it. Excellent. And one more side question before I we jump to Echo's question. A lot of people are asking, hey, if I have the game already installed, right? If I've been playing beta and I have it installed, should I delete it? Does it matter? What is your recommendation when it comes to if the game has already been installed on your phone?
Yes, you should delete it. You should delete that off your phone and get a new one on June 1st, June 2nd.
That was hard for me to do in the technical alpha. I just didn't want to let it go. I know that it's a completely separate build. It's not the real game, but it was hard to let go. I did. It's not on my phone now.
Well, I'll tell you what. You only have to do it one more time, and you'll never have to delete Diablo Immortal again.
I love that. I love that. All right, so we do have another question. This one's regarding the Battle Pass, and maybe we could do some clarification on what's the Battle Pass going to cost. I know there's different tiers. So the question is from Bubbles. Can you clarify the $15 Battle Pass? Would you be getting the experience for that level, for those levels or not? What are the changes to the Boon of Plenty? I'm not sure. We didn't rehearse this. What are you able to talk about here? We're going to all be seeing it in a few days anyways.
Yeah. So the Battle Pass. So just so everyone knows, there's and we're talking in U.S. currency here. There's a $5 Battle Pass and a $15. So if anyone's kind of new to Immortal and you're saying, "Hey, $15 Battle Pass," that's sort of the collector's Battle Pass is $15. If you don't want all the collector's perks, the $5 Battle Pass is the standard price. Which, by the way, I know I've watched some of your content before, both Echo and Scrappy. You guys talk a lot about being that a good value. So I'm glad that's the feedback that we got, is people like, hey, this battle pass is a good value. That was definitely the intention. So the $15 battle pass comes with some extra cosmetics and some extra tiers. Now, if you choose that, then you get the extra tiers, but you don't get the XP that would come with those tiers, because we never sell experience. And so we don't want there to be a way to spend, 10 extra dollars to get more XP. For those who don't know, every time you complete a battle pass tier, your character actually gets more XP, but it's a general game philosophy that we do not sell XP in any way. If you see somebody who's Paragon 20, they played to get the Paragon 20. What was the other question about it? It was
about the Boon of Plenty as well.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me.
You're welcome.
So let me add one more thing about the battle pass. We don't want you to think that getting those extra tiers is a bad thing, though, because when you reach the end of the battle pass, we do have bonus chests that you can continue to earn even after you've maxed out your battle pass. That's pretty common on a lot of battle passes. And anything that you've earned through regular gameplay, and any of the battle pass ranks that you earn through regular gameplay, they will all reward XP as well, including those extra ones at the end. So you're not gaining or losing anything if you choose to purchase the collector's battle pass. As for the Boon of Plenty, the main change that we've made is we found a lot of people in beta, the Boon of Plenty was $5, and you got a rare crest every day when you logged in. A lot of players said, hey, I kind of want something more than that. And so what we've done is we've increased the cost of the Boon of Plenty. And I don't remember exactly. I want to say it was 10, but I don't remember for sure. But we've also increased the rewards by the same amount. So for example, again, I don't remember the exact number, but let's say it now costs double what it was before, but it also yields double rewards. And so the ratio of value is the same. And what that has enabled us to do is a lot of players want legendary crests. And so by doubling the value of the whole thing, we're able to include a bunch of legendary crests from time to time on your Boon of Plenty, in addition to the rare crests, as well as some other goodies.
That's nice. I like that. Yeah, I mean, but you've also buffed rare crests as well, so you're going to be getting more than we're used to getting in the past. So they're going to be a little bit more exciting than they were, because in the past you just kind of wanted your legendary crest, but now the others are going to be nice as well.
Yeah, good call. Thanks for reminding me.
You're welcome.
That's a lot of feedback that we got from beta. People were like, hey, I am free to play, or maybe I just like to buy, the boon. Am I going to be able to get legendary gems as well? So we have made a lot of changes to rare crests to make that experience way better. Now rare crests, you basically crafting legendary gems from runes is way easier than before. We've greatly reduced, or in many cases completely removed, the platinum cost associated with crafting a legendary gem. Before, it used to be that during beta, crafting a legendary gem from runes would cost like 1,600 platinum, and people were like, why would I do that? That's too expensive. And so we just said, you know what? It's free. You don't have to spend any platinum at all. If you have the crests, you can craft the legendary gem. That makes it way easier for anyone to get their hands on some legendary gems.
Love those changes.
Yeah, that's epic. That actually is a really big change for the free-to-play player. So that's great that you guys are listening to the community and doing that. Heck, I'm going to jump in with another question, if you don't mind.
Nope.
There are a lot of, actually, this is a sort of a combination. So a lot of people are asking, because I guess they play D3 or whatever, are there pets coming to Immortal? Now, I know that you've mentioned before that possibly no pets, but the side question to that is a lot of them are asking, well, if there is no pets, can we have something like a quality of life change where a pet would pick up like our gold or something like that, like we have in D3? So have you guys thought about that, possibly?
Yeah, it's a short answer. We have thought about it. We don't have it right now. It's something that's often debated within the team. You know, should it have some functionality? Should it not? Uh, what are the guidelines around making a pet? There's some sentiment that in D3, some of the pets looked a little too out there, kind of ruined some of the mood. There's other people who think it's super cool and, you know, it's just whimsically fun. So that's all I can kind of really say about it right now.
That's fair.
Understood.
My favorite thing about the pets was exactly that, Nemo, where you don't have to worry about picking up all the things that drop. Your pet kind of scurries around and takes care of it for you. So,
Yeah, it's a top positive for me, especially like when you're doing the playing, right? If you've played in the zone already and you're doing the auto navigate, like especially if you're a necro, I'm running and I got my my minions running around just killing everything and murdering. So there's gold places, and as I'm running, a lot of the times I have to like stop my auto navigate, go back, pick up the gold, and go back to the to the thing. So yeah, I agree. That would be a cool quality of life change.
Yeah, this just in, Nemo does not leave a drop of gold behind. He will stop auto-navigate and go right to it. By the way, speaking of auto-navigate,
Yes,
I want to address a question that came in earlier. There is no auto-play or auto-questing in Diablo Immortal. Auto-navigate is a feature that I personally love, where if you complete a zone and you need to travel through that zone to get somewhere, you can hit the auto-navigate button, and literally all it does is runs your character through that zone. It doesn't stop to attack. You can't gain XP. It's a quality of life feature, so especially for me as someone who's going to be streaming the game, I could hit auto navigate to get somewhere and I could attend to the chat or do something like that, which is a great feature. No auto play. Bringing into the next question. In the future, this is from Thant. In the future, do you plan to merge some servers together so top players from different servers can finally have a chance to play together, or maybe thinking to battle it out? I know that in other games, I played a game called Rise of Kingdoms. There was a server versus server thing. Something else that people worry about, myself included, is day one, we joined this server. 5 years from now, the server may not be as active as it was on day one, or there could be servers that fall victim to toxicity or something like that. There's potential for that because anyone can play the game. You never know. What are your thoughts on server movement, changes, merging, things like that?
Yeah, so we are planning to do server merges at some point. That's not going to be immediately after launch, but as you mentioned, sometimes servers, the population will naturally come down over time. Some people kind of, if they don't play a lot of games, they don't realize that's actually very normal, right? A lot of people will play the game initially, and then people stop playing after some time. Sometimes you have people who quit for a while but come back later. But it's very normal for the population of a server to sort of reduce over time. And in order for all the game systems to work, in order for you to have like good matchmaking, able to find a party for a dungeon, for the cycle of strife to work correctly, we do want the population to be above a certain minimum. So as the population of some servers gets too low, we'll merge them together to make sure that it's always a healthy experience for players. We don't anticipate that happening for a while, but once the need arises, we will do it. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we are hoping, we are looking at doing server transfers sometime in the future, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Excellent, thank you, and I'm glad that it's on the radar. And with that being said, I know that everything that the community feels is essentially on your radar. You see what the community wants, and you kind of weigh out what is best for the game, what's best for the longevity of the game, and stuff like that. I want to say to everyone, we are running longer on today's show than we typically do. This is typically a 1 hour show, but because we had a special guest, we wanted to go a little bit longer. With that said, we're going to grab maybe 1 or 2 more questions each, Nemo and I, and then we're going to close things out. But I had an idea here. Now, of course, this podcast is available afterward. It's going to be live on my YouTube channel. It's going to be on Spotify, Apple Music, Google, and all that stuff. You can rewatch this podcast. Questions that you may have had that weren't answered because we can't get to all of them. If you want to leave them in the YouTube comments section, Nemo and I can do our best to kind of come back and backfill some answers that we know of. And that's a great way for us to answer your questions. Or you can come back next week when we have episode 26 of the Immortal Podcast, and you could bring those questions again. Wyatt will not be here for that one. But Nemo, you said that you had another question that you grabbed from the chat. What is it?
Yeah. There's two really heated questions here that are just being asked a lot. One, and I'm not, probably pretty simple one, but Wyatt, is the game ever coming on console? A lot of people are wondering, since it's moving to PC, will Xbox or another console ever see the game?
Good question. We do get that. We don't have any announced console plans at this time.
Okay. I kind of figured that was nice and easy. And then the second question, and this one is in regards to the tech specs. So a lot of people are wondering why is the ultra graphics setting only available on specific iPad devices and PCs, and it's not available on the mobile phones? Is there any way you can elaborate on that one as well?
I am unfortunately not a good person to answer that one. I think it just has to do with the performance of the hardware. That would be my guess. Your guess is as good as mine.
I'm thinking heat
probably
is a good one.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have. I can't. I'm the wrong person for that one. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That was a really big question from the community. They're wondering why.
Yeah, remember earlier when I was saying that there's a huge team behind me that works on this game. I just get to like chat about it now and then. But if our engineers were here, they'd be able to tell you exactly why. Or our compatibility team. I mean, we had all those teams earlier, and there's a whole compatibility team that tests the game on a variety of hardware, and they make their recommendations based on that. They would know better than me.
Yeah. With that being said, it doesn't look bad when it's in the normal setting. The game still looks great, even when it's not in those maxed out settings as well. Quick question here, and then I'll ask another one that Cam has asked the entire show. This one is, ask about the cow level. This question has come through chat so much. I can't believe it. Everyone loves the secret cow level. They love the treasure goblins, and I'm happy the treasure goblins are in the game. Do you have any secret levels like this planned? Could we look for Easter eggs and things?
There is no cow level.
look at this stare right here. It's about as serious as you could get there, Wyatt. No cow level. All right, so another question. I don't believe it. We'll have to see. Another question. Oh, I lost it now. People were asking about their name, right? And I wasn't able to grab this. I'm worried that someone's going to steal my character name while I'm choosing the appearance. Which one comes first, appearance or character name? Because remember, there can only be one name per server, I believe. So you could have the same name on multiple servers, but one name per server.
That's right. You can have, so each of your characters can have its own name. If you use a fairly common name, then unfortunately, if you really want that name, you'll want to be pretty quick. The names are unique per server. A lot of that's because of the social, right? It doesn't do well in an MMO to have two people by the same name walking around. That's going to be really confusing. We allow different names we allow that name to be used on different servers because there's no confusion there. The character creation happens first. And then the character name happens second. I know that's probably not the answer that you wanted to hear. And then furthermore, I talked about like server merges. So if servers get merged and there's a name collision, and I don't remember exactly how it's going to work, we've talked about it internally. I think one of the people gets flagged for a rename. And there are a bunch of situations like an inappropriate name. If someone gets reported as having an inappropriate name, there are a bunch of situations where a name can be flagged, and the next time you go to log in, you'll have to rename your character.
Thank you for that. Nemo, I know you have another question.
I do. I have a two-part question, one from the community and one from me. So one of the questions a lot of people ask, will future classes ever see new skills? Or is this locked into the ones that we already have? Like there are specific skills that are in D3 that are, Necromancer that might not be in Diablo Immortal. Is that something that's a possibility for the future? Why?
Will future or like will the existing classes get new skills in the future? Is
Yeah,
that the
like will
core
the
of the
wizard
question?
have some
Yeah,
new skills and things like that?
I can't really say for sure either way. Right now, the plan is to make sure that we can add new legendary items to the classes, and the new legendary items can modify. So the legendaries, like every single patch, by the way, every single test. I don't know if you guys noticed, as we went to you know closed alpha and then closed beta, like new legendary items were introduced, and you can continue to see that in post launch through content patches. So that I would say will definitely happen. Will we see new skills? Maybe. That's something that we're talking about as well internally. I'd love to, but there's a bunch of complications for that. The team and the people who would be working on new skills for existing classes are the same people who would be making skills for future classes. And so we have to kind of like weigh the trade-off between new skills or new classes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And in that theme, my other question is a bit more personal. Actually, has to do a lot to do with the wizard. We do have a lot of people are screaming in the chat saying, "Hey, will the wizard get a buff, or is that going to be?" Because I mean, some people consider the wizard to be one of the harder classes to play, but my specific would be like, for example, the wizard. There's class consumables, right, for every character. So like the barbarian is a class consumable. They buffs the I forgot. I think it's a speed for the whole group, right? Now the wizard class consumable is I think a scroll to West March. So a lot of people are asking, hey, is the wizard going to get some love? So we're wondering, will there be a buff to the wizard? And just in general, high overall, are you guys considering that type of stuff? Like when you're looking at the overall of classes, whether it's PvP or PvE, will they get balance changes once the game comes out and continues rolling out?
Yeah, so the classes have gotten some balance changes, and I don't know all the changes off the top of my head. I'd have to look at the notes that we have. But we are absolutely going to be keeping an eye on class balance and adjusting them post launch as necessary. So yeah, the way that the classes launch, if we find that there's an imbalance, I mean, once you get millions of players playing a game, those small imbalances start to become a lot more obvious, and people will sort of highlight that for you. And another cool thing is, once we get the class change feature in, if there's an imbalance, people can switch, so people have an out. But on top of that, if we start to see a lot of people switch to a particular class, that's a pretty good indication that that class is unbalanced as well. So in a lot of ways, having a class change feature is going to make it easier for us to identify classes that are overpowered a lot quicker than we might have been able to do otherwise. And then with regards to those class consumables, so moved those. We thought that they were, these small effects, which, they were a little awkward to use out of your inventory. People were forgetting to use them. People weren't sure when the right time to use them. They weren't all fair between the different classes. We already knew that we want to introduce more classes in the future. We didn't want to put ourselves in a position where we have to like come up with extra little class consumables every time we come up with a new class, and then have to worry about balancing those. We said, hey, maybe this doesn't make a lot of sense. So we just yanked all the class consumables completely.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. Wow. Yeah, I never really used them for that reason. But maybe because I was also a wizard and mine was just a scroll to West March. So yeah, it makes sense. Thank you, Wyatt.
I mean, the scroll, I agree. The scroll was a little weird because everyone could just teleport there.
Right. Yep.
I love how Nemo tries to sneak in some love or ideas for his class with the wizard. All right, I have another question, and this will take us to the last question of the show, but this one really quickly. And I think I know the answer, but I'll have you answer this. From Darren Rich: do male and female characters have the same size hitbox? Because the female characters are typically a little bit smaller than the male characters.
They should have the same size hitbox. That's 100% the intention. They not only do they have the same size hitbox, they have the same animation frame lengths as well. And like, so that means that if you cast a skill, they take exactly the same amount of time. One is not going faster than the other. If for any reason that wasn't the case, we would identify that as a bug immediately and work to fix that.
All right. Well, then there you go. Easy answer. And of course, there are going to be things that aren't perfect when the game launches with millions of people playing. Things are going to be found, and I fully expect Blizzard to be on top of making all those changes, which is great. But this is bringing us to our final question. We do this every show. It's typically completely off topic, and I want to give love to Red October. He's one of our leaders over in the Scrappy Echoes. And by the way, if any of you want to join our clan family, our Discord link is in the description of the YouTube video as well as pinned on Twitch somewhere. Come join us. It's also a community server just to talk about Diablo Immortal. But the question is, and Wyatt, we'll send it to you first. If you were a superhero, or no, I'm sorry, if you had a superpower, what would the superpower be?
Well, shout out to Red October for
Yes.
sure. I've been, yeah, he's been just such a stalwart member of the community. So really fantastic. You know, if you had asked me 5 years ago or 10 years ago, what would my superpower be? I'd want to be able to punch people through the internet. But I'm kind of like a.
Oh, that's great.
I'm a little older and a little more mature, a little laid back, and I don't quite have the same, you know, internet desire. I think just after the last couple of years, I've just learned to chill out and let things roll off and not worry about it.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to actually flip that around to the opposite and just say it'd be great to have a superpower to just be like chill and zen, you know, and rational but empathetic, and just like be real all the time, no matter what anyone else says. Don't get riled up. That would be an amazing superpower.
So Wyatt's superpower is to just be an overall good person. Love that. It's so wholesome.
Well, it's like to never like, or maybe if I had the power to punch people through the internet, but my other superpower is to never actually feel like I have to use it.
I love that. Complete and total control. How about you, Nemo? What would you like to do?
Yeah.
That's a tough question. Thank you, Red. Always comes up with good ones. So
Yes.
for me, it would be the ability. I would probably be a healer. So I would love the ability to be able to heal and, you know, maybe help sick people or somebody who, you know, who got hurt or something like that. That would be my most favorite superpower. I would love to have that. That would be great.
You guys so wholesome with your answers here. It's going to make me look like, I mean...
Echo's like, what would happen to flying? What's wrong with flying?
I know. Well, flying would be one of them, but no, I think that teleporting is cooler than flying. Just being able to go anywhere instantly. It's essentially flying, just, you know, although I always did want to fly. It would be teleporting. Just, you know why, though? So I could teleport quickly to people to help them and bring them food and aid when they're injured, right? That came together well.
Go.
That came together well. Well, hey, it's
You
the...
teleport me and I'll heal him.
Yes, we'll work together.
Yeah, good.
Wyatt, we really appreciate you coming through the channel today. We were on episode 25 of the Immortal Podcast, and it was our pleasure to have you as a guest. We hope that in the future you'd be willing to come back and just hang out with us again. I know that the community loves it. We could tell just by the chat coming through. It's been rolling through so nicely on Twitch and YouTube. So thanks for coming through. We appreciate you, man.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me. And you had all sorts of great conversation, different things, different topics, lots of good user questions too, viewer questions. Yeah, I'm super excited about launch. We're just like 3-4 days away now, right?
So close. Not like we've been waiting for a while or anything.
Yeah, no, it's
3-4 days is better than
having
3
you
or
here,
4
Wyatt.
years.
Well, we're gonna waiting for 2 now, so it's 3 days is nothing at the end of the tunnel. We're right here. Thanks, Wyatt. Seriously, it's been a pleasure. We hope to have you back. And thank you to the entire family over here. Everybody stopping by with the questions and the entire positivity. We love it. We can't wait to see you all in game in T minus 3 days, right?
Yeah.
What do you
We
think, Echo?
are
You ready
we
for
are
that?
close. I'm ready. The community has been great over the 2.5 years creating videos for a game that has not been out. The focus has been to build community, and right now, that's why part of why I love what Diablo Immortal is doing here is just a focus on community and playing together. We've built the most amazing community. I'm so happy to have all of you over in the Scrappy Echoes. Thank you all for all of your support, guidance, and just helping make all of this happen, because the time is near. 3 days from now, and we'll be playing Diablo Immortal together, and it will never be wiped from our phones. It will never go away, and our grind will remain. It really is exciting. Reminding you guys, this podcast will live on this YouTube channel, Echo Gaming Diablo. And if you have any questions that we did not address, because I know there's a bunch, I see them still coming through, please leave them in the comments section, and Nemo and I will do our best to come through and answer the ones that we know the answers to. You could also find us on Spotify, on Apple Music, on Google Podcasts, all those platforms. We're everywhere. And if you want to watch my videos, Echo Gaming Diablo. If you want to watch Nemo's, Scrappy Academy YouTube channel. Again, Wyatt, Nemo, thank you guys so much for today. This was fantastic. Episode 25 of the Immortal Podcast is in the books. Have a great day, guys, and be good.